Good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. I see my framing is off just a little bit. I'm not going to mess with it. Yeah, I will. I always say I'm not going to mess with it, and then I mess with it. But we will call that, even though I'm a little bit off frame. Okay, I'll come over here a little bit. There, that's better. Good morning, Cliff. How are you? Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Bruce, same. Good morning. How are you? Let me bring my microphones over here. Tommy, always a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for joining me. I was just talking to Mad Jack here, who made the first comment, and he comments before I even go live. So I'm trying to figure out how he sees me before I'm going live. Craig, looking forward to it. You and Michelle. Dave, sorry you can't make it tonight, but I understand your wife says you're busy. Joel, how are you? Thanks for joining me on this edition of Behind the Mic here from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Lots to talk about this week, including the weather, how dry it's been. How are your food plots doing? Thank God for heavy early morning dew. It's the only thing keeping ours alive, because we certainly haven't had any rain, have we? Cliff says, like all of his Wednesdays, he's working in Ohio. Mark, beautiful day down here as well. Going to miss you tonight, buddy, but I certainly understand. You still got the golf clubs out? I do. The last round was terrible. I had fun. Played with my wife and grandson. That's always good. Tim, good morning, buddy. Going to see you tonight, right? Jerry, your son got his bear. Had a great weekend. It was a wonderful weekend for hunting, but it was a warm one. I saw a few deer going south on I-75 out in the open in the back of vehicles, and it was 85 degrees. And I thought, I can't see the body cavity. I hope you got it packed in ice, or I hope you're not going far, because this weather it's beautiful, but it's crazy. Cliff says, nice to see those youth photos from the youth hunt. I have been inundated with pictures from the youth hunt, trying to post them all. I'm a little bit behind right now. People get mad at me that I don't just get to them all right away, but it's not like my only job. It just says you'll be waiting to go live. Congrats. Okay. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Brian, good morning. The weather, warm. I mean, beautiful. A little too warm for hunting season. Tommy there. How are you? Good morning. But a little warm for hunting, right? Even so, I saw a lot of pictures of successful youth hunters over the weekend, and I saw a lot of pictures of successful bear hunters over the weekend. So it wasn't too warm to hunt, just too warm to be comfortable while you're hunting. Interesting you bring that up, Mark. The early is this weekend, where you can go out, I think, with a firearm and shoot a doe this weekend before bow season is even started. You can use gun season. Yes, gun season starts this weekend. So, I mean, it's crazy. You could go out and use a center fire rifle and shoot a doe this weekend, a week and a half before the bow season even starts. It's a little crazy. And speaking of that, and I'll follow up with this on the show as I record it here in a few minutes, a longtime listener of the show, Josh, he's a disabled vet. He's been listening to the show, he says, for almost 20 years. And he didn't chastise me, but he said, Mike, I'm a loyal listener. I listen very closely, and you keep calling that early season the youth hunt, the youth hunt, the youth hunt. And I do. Jay, I look forward to it. Make sure you stop me, right? I mean, there are some names and faces. There are some names like you that I recognize, and I know you, but help me cement that relationship, your face and your name in my brain tonight, okay? So grab me and say, hey, I'm Jay. And I don't mean to be rude. It's just that some people, like at the golf outing, I met some of you guys, at the outing, but I was so busy that day. So I want to make sure I can equate your face to a name that I see here on the screen. So grab me, pull me over, and say, hey, another guy I want to grab and pull over, even though he's not going to be here tonight. Art Lewis. It wouldn't be a Wednesday. It wouldn't be behind the mic without Art Lewis here, member of the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, who's not going to be joining us tonight. Why is that?
Because I have another commitment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Other commitments.
Sorry.
The next one, I don't know what it's going to be, but you make it. Art.
Yeah, I'll make every attempt to make
All right. Yeah, see, look at this guy. He interviews so many politicians, he has become one. I will make every attempt to be there.
I gotta be honest. Wait, that's not politician, is it?
Thanks, Art. Have a good day. You can hear Art on WSUW AM and FM. Craig says doe hunting on state and lands. Firearm this weekend. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Bill, good morning. Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy? I posted a picture. That's got to be your grandson, right? I posted a picture of him. Thank you for sending that to me. That was a cool picture, by the way. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. Randy, good morning. Hello, Joe. How are you? Yeah, it's my chair. But of course, nobody else is crass enough or rude enough to bring it up except for you, Tim. Good morning, Ed. How are you? Rob checking in from White River, Ontario, Canada. It's time for me to either. I tried spraying a little WD-40 underneath this thing, and you can actually hear it during the radio show too. And if I was the only guy, can I let you in a little story, right? I bought this chair out of my own pocket. I bought this chair so I could have a nice, tall, comfortable chair with arms in it to use in the studio. And I tucked it over here in my corner of the studio. And if I was the only guy who used it once a week on Wednesday morning, it wouldn't be making noise. But the other guys in the studio discovered it. They thought it was a station chair, not an Avery chair. And I'm just kind of making fun here, but it gets used every day. And because it gets used every day, it started to make noise. Morning, Leroy. Well, here's the thing, Ed, about my hunt next week. As you know, my season starts Wednesday. So I'm going to go up Tuesday. I'm actually going to swing through the Sioux, and I'm going to take care of some business in the Sioux Tuesday morning. I will come over to Seney Tuesday afternoon, check in, and I will be hunting Wednesday. My daughter Shelby is going to be induced for her baby on Friday. So I will say this, if a bear walks in front of me Wednesday big enough that it doesn't have milk on its mouth, I'm going to shoot it. I'm just telling you, bear. Doesn't have to be a trophy bear, doesn't have to be a big bear. Wednesday, my hunt starts with Johnny Bowler on the edge of the Seney National Wildlife Refuge. He's got a bunch of bears coming in. And if a bear walks in big enough that it's not dripping milk from its mouth, I'm shooting it. Morning, Rob. Ricky, how are you? Randy, I and Tony will see you tonight at Lumberjack. Tour tune collecting algae. My tune is my pontoon is collecting algae. I was out there last week taking gear off it. I'm going to run it. I'm not rubbing the mic. Now I'm rubbing the mic. Yes, I'm going to take my boat over to Linwood Beach anytime now. Bill Martin, buddy, how have you been? Amy, you are more than welcome. Thank you for sending that through Johnny Bowler so I could post it. Mike, how have you been? Mark, good morning. Bear hunting and fishing are great in the UP. Excellent. Hunter Joe, good morning, big guy. Have you thrown your hat into the NRC prospects pool? No, I am not interested in being a natural resource commissioner. I don't think I'm qualified for the job. But apparently being qualified for the job doesn't really matter anymore, does it? I mean, I don't mean to besmirch the entire NRC because we have some very good commissioners. But as a whole, my respect for that group is waning, to put it mildly. I think we need a new batch of commissioners. I would not be a good one. Actually, Jordan Hoover from the UP, I wrote a letter to the governor supporting him for an NRC commissioner. I think he would do a good job. Jerry says, stop at Forwards, get some fish, Michigan meat. You mean Michigan brand snacks like this? This is smoked turkey, by the way, courtesy of my buddy Nick Grillo. Nick of Michigan Brand cannot join us tonight at the Lumberjack restaurant for Wednesday Night Live, but he did send up a box of product to give away. So I will have that. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jerry. Kevin, good morning. How are things in West Branch? Sean, fellow Angler Quest owner, how are you? Justin, good morning, buddy. Justin, you know what I mean when I do this, right? Thank you. I appreciate that. And John, Michigan Brand Snacks this morning, smoked turkey, courtesy of Nick Grillo.
Yeah.
Cliff, okay, interesting, Cliff, you bring this up. He's having a scope mounted on his 350 Legend this week. Hope to sight it in this weekend. Cliff, I've got a story about that I'm going to tell on the air here, but I took my 350 Legend to have a scope mounted professionally to make sure it was done right. I put it on there just to make sure it was going to fit. I took it into those guys. They mounted it, and then I went downstairs on their indoor range to sight it in. My Brenton 350 Legend with a new Vortex scope on it, shooting Federal 180 grain 350 Legend ammunition. I put about 5 rounds through it, and then the gun jammed. But it wasn't the gun jamming. It was the brass didn't eject, and it got caught in the chamber. So we took it upstairs to the gunsmiths there. They took the gun apart, and turns out it was an ammunition thing. That gun with a suppressor. I was sighting it in with a new scope and a suppressor. The first time I shot it with a suppressor on it. They said that Federal ammunition did not like the additional back pressure created by the suppressor that was causing it to misfire, actually jam. They said, do you have any other ammo? Well, I had several boxes of Winchester ammo, 180 grain, that I had got on sale that were in my case. They said, let's try that. So I shot that, and it cycled and ran perfectly. So I am going to be running Winchester 180 grain ammo in that 350 Legend from now on. Mike, good morning. How are you, buddy? It might, Ed. It might. If I got a one-day hunt, it would work out great. 100 plus pounds. That's wonderful, Mike. That's wonderful. I topped out at losing 115 pounds. I have gained some of that back. They say you're going to, no big deal, but I'm still feeling good. Kelly, good morning. Tuscola County big game squirrel hunters got 2 yesterday. Excellent. I'm glad to see people out there squirrel hunting. Thank you, Amy. Coming here very soon. Terry is pumped for the opener. Good morning. John says Jordan is a good choice. Need a new governor to get some good. Well, we need a new governor too. Obviously, if I had my choice between a new governor and new NRC commissioners, I'd take a new governor. Same here, Jen, always. Jay will be there tonight. Jay, appreciate that. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much. What we're talking about is Wednesday Night Live tonight at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. We are full. We are full. However, Emil Rousseau of Lumberjack says we can sneak a few more in. So if you want to join us and did not call for reservations, you can still, yes, exactly, Tim. Exactly, yes. Ray, good morning. 989-343-0892, or just show up tonight. Okay, Chris, any recommendations on where to take a very rare and valuable 7 mag to get a genuine Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City? Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City. I have a lot of respect for those people. Cool and sunny in Poseyville. Good morning, John. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that very much. Okay. So, Randy, I told you I was taking some gear because I'm getting ready to run it back across the bay to Linwood Beach Marina and be done for the year. As I was taking the gear off the boat, and you know how much gear you end up storing on your boat, right? I opened one of the seats and I pulled out my 2 inflatable life vests, and they had both popped. They'd gotten wet while under the seat and went poof. Because I pulled them out and I'm looking at those going, I don't remember any fluorescent yellow or fluorescent green on these things. And then I realized, well, they got wet and they blew open. So then I thought, well, are these things shot? They're pretty expensive. I should be able to repack them and rearm them, right? Did a little search online. Yes, you can. You get a new CO2 cartridge, you repack it, and you can rearm those things and reuse them. So I just found that interesting. So neither here nor there, just interesting. Andy, good morning. How are you? Waiting for Fall Wally. I figured you'd be there tonight, Mike. Mike with Jay. Now listen, guys. Again, I know you from online. I know we have met, but I want to, because when we met, it was kind of crazy and my old brain was preoccupied. I want to make sure that I can equate your face to the name I'm looking at on the screen right now, right? I mean, I know we met, but when I come by the table tonight, grab me and say, hey, look at me. I am the guy you're talking to online. Will you do that for me, Mike? And I don't mean any disrespect by that at all. I actually mean it as a sign of respect because I want to know you personally and make sure I know you, okay? Dave, excellent. I went and fulfilled a lifetime dream and got your captain's license. Dave, how did you get it? Where did you get it? Did you see John Littlefield at Premier Maritime Training? It is a very special thing, isn't it? I got my captain's license about 4 years ago. I think 62 years old. And to get my captain's and become a licensed charter captain at age 62, I am very proud of that. I am not a working licensed captain, but I am a licensed charter captain, so I can do charity charters. And I know what you mean. It's not an easy process, and you should be congratulated. So congratulations, Captain. And isn't it nice, Dave? And the more you're around this and the more you're in this, people will start calling you Captain or Cap. And it's real nice. Cap, congratulations. Andy, had that happen to two of your vests. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Now, next time it happens, I'll really thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And I hope you understand. All right, Jay, have a good day. See you tonight. You did go through Premier Maritime Training, Captain Jeff. I don't know Captain Jeff, but I know Captain John, and I'm glad you went through Premier Maritime Training. I'm curious, Dave. Did you go to them because you heard about them on my show, or did you hear about them from a different source? Thank you, Dave. You too. Hello, John. How are you? We got a couple of long-time old car dealers with us this morning, John Kirby and Bill Martin. Longtime friends of mine, guys who are now living the dream. Congrats, guys. Gene, good morning to you. How are things? Okay, I run out of time, and there's more I want to talk about, but I may not get a chance till we get to the show. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show here, and I'm going to start in just a couple of minutes recording it. My first guest this week is Glenn Duncan of Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City, and we're talking about my experience a couple of days ago when I took my 350 Legend, my Brenton in there. I had a new scope on it, and I had a suppressor on it, and I wanted to sight it in on the range downstairs, and we had problems with federal ammunition. So I wanted to bring Glenn in to talk about that and more. Then Scott Safransky of Linwood Beach Marina talking about the fantastic fall fishing on Saginaw Bay, both for walleye and hopefully perch. And then Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. I want to see how their big outdoor weekend went. I know because I was there, but I want to hear his take on it. In our second hour, it's Tom Nelson of the American Archer TV show with some last-minute bow season preparation suggestions. Justin Tomei of MUCC. I think we'll just shoot the breeze about whatever's going on. Our Ask Avery question from a good friend of mine, Scott Gatza, will be answered by Corporal Ken Lowell of the DNR. It basically involves how do you take someone who is handicapped coyote hunting at night? What permits do you need to allow that person to shoot from your vehicle? And Scott's guns are all suppressed. They have suppressors on it. Can his buddy shoot that gun even though he doesn't own it? Because there are some really screwy rules on suppressors. Although you can get a suppressor, you can get your license, your federal paperwork for a suppressor very fast now. And in our third hour, we're going to talk about Michigan elk hunts and more with hunting guide Vance Gowell. He had a very successful early season. We'll talk about that. The Michigan elk herd and hunting the later seasons. We'll see if he's still bear hunting too. I don't know if he is guiding bear hunters. And of course, we will wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Day. I will be back tonight for Wednesday at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. We're full, but we could sneak a few more people in. If you want to join us at the last minute, feel free. Swing by the Lumberjack Restaurant just off I-75, exit 212 on the main drag there in West Branch. Come on in and say, hey, we want to join the fun. Love to have you. So anyway, I'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. Next Wednesday morning, I don't know if I'll do a Wednesday Night Live or not. I might be bear hunting. And next Wednesday night, I doubt it because I will more than bear hunting at that point, unless I shoot a bear early, but I don't think that's going to happen. 2, 1, blast off. So that's what I'm hearing. Charlie.
Morning. Oh.
Michigan brand smoked turkey, courtesy of our friend Nick Grillo at Michigan Brand Meats. All right, my friends, have a good day. I'm recording this week's radio show. Feel free to stick around and watch/listen if you want. If not, have a good day, and I will see you tonight, 7 o'clock, for another edition of Wednesday Night Live, live from the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch with a bunch of my friends and a bunch of you as well. Have a good day, my friends. Coffee.
Now, here's my favorite.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan, and so glad to have you along with us. How are you? How's your week gone since we last talked? Have you had a chance to get out and do anything fun? Have you had a chance to be on the water? Have you been in the woods? Did you take a youth hunter out last weekend? Man, it is full bore, wide open on now, isn't it? The only thing we need now to cooperate is the weather. I mean, it's beautiful weather if it was July, but do we want this in September? I would just like to see a little rain, huh? It's been so dry and so warm, but you know, the old saying, everybody talks about the weather, but nobody's doing anything about it, and we can't. So all we can do is continue to enjoy our outdoor activities and try to make the most of what Mother Nature throws at us. You know, you get a big wind, you get a warm spell, you get extraordinary cold, you get rain, you get drought, whatever it is, you just have to deal with it and go out there and have fun. And apparently, a lot of people were having fun this last week because I've had a lot of pictures sent to me to post on my social media outlets. And I welcome that. I want that. I want to share your outdoor adventures with the rest of the world. Now, yes, you can post them, and I know you do, but you know, maybe if you want to reach a little bit bigger audience or different people and you want me to post pictures, I will be more than happy to do that. Send me an email to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Please don't send them to me in a social media message, private message, because if you do, I will respond and say, please email to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com so I can share. And this past week, I have been inundated with pictures. And I'm doing my best. By the time you hear this radio show, I should be caught up. But as we're sitting here in the studio, I still have a few more to post. And I think that's wonderful. Most of them pictures from the youth hunt. Oops, I can't call it youth hunt. More on that in just a minute. I love pictures from the Liberty/youth hunt. I love seeing pictures of kids in the outdoors sitting over animals with deer with beautiful, huge smiles on their faces. And one thing I've noticed about these pictures from the youth hunt is I don't see a difference in the size of the smile of a kid sitting over a small doe or a big buck. You know, they don't really seem to care. I think it's the parents who care most, right? And it's the parents who start to instill this desire in this kid, man, you got to go out there and shoot a big buck. And then the kid starts to think, yeah, I got to go out there and shoot a big buck. But if you have taught that kid, if you go out and shoot a big old doe, that's a trophy. The kids, man, to them, a big old doe is a trophy. But every kid I see has a giant smile. I don't care whether they're sitting over a buck or a doe. And also this year, and this is a pleasant surprise, for the first time in all the years I've been posting pictures from the youth hunt, I'm not getting a lot of negative comments from people crying about why are the kids allowed to be out there before the season. And I don't know the exact reason for that. Maybe, some people realize, well, listen, this is the last year they can shoot bucks because next year it's going to be does only, probably. Or maybe the fact that, anybody can go out and shoot a doe this weekend with a rifle legally. Maybe that takes some of the wind out of their sails. Why is that kid allowed to go out there before the season? Well, you know what? You can go out there this season with a rifle and shoot a doe if you want. Things have changed. Deer hunting in Michigan has changed. The seasons have changed. The size of the herd has changed. The distribution of the herd has changed. The management of the herd has changed. Let me go back to youth hunt / Liberty hunt / independence hunt. I got an email from a guy named Josh, who's been a loyal listener of the show for almost 20 years now. And he pointed something out that I didn't immediately recognize. And he had to actually point it out a couple of times before I got what the gist of his comment was. And it's very valid. He says, Avery, you keep calling it the youth hunt, the youth hunt, the youth hunt. And I do, because that is what the majority of hunters out there, that weekend of the Liberty hunt, most of them are youth hunters. And I tend to call it the youth hunt because that gets most of the attention. Now, keep in mind that during this Liberty hunt, which is what last weekend technically was, the youth hunt plus handicapped hunters. And he said, please refer to it as the Liberty hunt, keeping in mind that folks like him, a disabled vet, can also get out and legally hunt that weekend too. And he says, when you lump it all in as the youth hunt, he says a lot of the negative criticism that goes toward the youth hunt ends up falling on us as well. And it took me a little while to wrap my brain around that and realize what he was saying and say, okay, Josh, I get it. That does make sense. So there's the Liberty hunt, which is youth hunters, 16 and under, plus handicapped hunters, eligible handicapped hunters. And then there's the independence hunt coming up later, which is strictly eligible handicapped hunters without a youth season involved in it. So, and that whole concept actually was kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around. I actually, before I got in the studio here, I texted Chad Stewart and said, Chad, help me understand, make sure I understand this before I go talking about it. So thank you, Chad, for that. And thank you, Josh, for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate that very much. If you have something you want to bring to my attention, if you have a picture you want to share with me, if you have a topic you want to suggest, again, email. Don't send it to me in a social media message. I might not see it. If you send me an email to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, I will see it. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Okay, what else is going on? This last week, I got most of the gear off the Angler Quest. It's time to put that boat away. Now you say you're missing a bunch of good fall fishing. I know. But every year I say I'm going to keep the boat in the water because I'm going to fish in the fall, and I never do. So I'm taking gear off it. And listen, if I want to go fishing this fall, I have a lot of friends who said I'm welcome on their boat anytime. And I know they're serious, and I appreciate it. So one interesting thing is I was taking the gear off the boat. I pulled up the seat cushion on the Angler Quest and reached in there to pull out some of my life jackets. Now, a lot of them are stored in a mesh bag just underneath the rocket launcher for easy access if you ever really did, God forbid, need them. And the rest of them are stashed down below in a storage area below the seats in the front. So I lifted up that seat cover and I start pulling out life jackets, and I grabbed two of my inflatables. And I'm like, these don't look right. what? I don't remember these being fluorescent yellow. And then it dawned on me, oh, they got wet and they popped while they were under the seat. Now, the whole thing about an inflatable is when it senses moisture, a CO2 cartridge blows off and it expands them and makes them life jackets. The rest of the time, it's just like a horseshoe-shaped harness around your neck. I thought, okay, can I repack that? I mean, these were pretty expensive. I didn't just want to have to throw them away. Yes, you can. You can rearm and repack them. So just something to be aware of there. Also, this past week, as I'm getting ready for my bear hunt, as you are hearing this, let me think about this. As you are hearing this show, yes, my bear hunt will be this next week coming up. So I'm getting ready for that. As part of that, I took my Brenton 350 Legend into Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City. I had a new scope that I wanted to put on. I put on a longer Vortex scope. And then I also had my first time with a suppressor on this thing. So I took it into Duncan's to get the scope professionally mounted. I had it on there roughly to make sure it was going to fit. And I wanted to sight it in with a suppressor. So I took it downstairs. We put about 5 rounds through that thing, and then it malfunctioned. I couldn't figure out what it was. I couldn't charge. I couldn't pull the charging handle. It didn't do anything. So we took it upstairs to the gunsmiths there and found out there was actually a round that was stuck in the chamber. Now, I'm going to talk more about this after the break, but long story short, and we'll get into details here in a minute, I was shooting Federal ammunition, which is fine ammunition, but the back pressure from that suppressor, the Federal ammo didn't like that. It switched over to Winchester, and now the thing runs just fine. So to follow up on that, after the break, I'm bringing in Glenn Duncan of Duncan's Outdoor Shop in Bay City to talk about that scenario. And should you be concerned if you're now running a suppressor on your gun, if it's going to screw things up? Then Scott Safransky of Linwood Beach Marina talking about the great fall walleye fishing, hopefully good perch fishing too, and this process of putting your boat away for the season, plus Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. In hour number 2, some last minute bow season preparation suggestions from Tom Nelson of the American Archer. Justin Tomei of MUCC joins me. This week's Ask Avery question deals with hunting, predator hunting after dark with a handicapped hunter and the use of a suppressor. What do you need to be legal to shoot out of a vehicle? Then in our third hour, Northern Michigan hunting guide Vance Gowell on elk hunting and more. Plus, we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My name is Mike Avery. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I'm so glad you're with us. Going to be here for 3 hours. I hope you can stick around. All right, my friends. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day. 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. This time, we'll be live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. Have a good day.
Great knives. And they have